You're tuned in to the Downey's Bucks podcast, brought to you in part by Wheels and Deals Auto, located at 1037 Roosevelt Trail, Windham, Maine. This is part 2 of 2 with Timmy Bolduc and Steven Champa.
I am. Yeah. Moose, only moose. Yeah, I work for Lee Shantz, and I usually do just one moose season, the main moose season, just one. This year I'm doing both, though.
Yeah.
I've fallen right in love with moose hunting.
Oh, I bet.
I love it.
Yeah.
So last year after I did the September season, we got a cool bull, a nice one. Good guys. That guy did really good dudes. But I told Lee after that, I was like, book me like both seasons next year.
Right.
I just enjoy it. I really love it. Fell in love with it the first year. The first year I did it. So yeah, I love moose hunting.
Moose hunting is a lot of fun.
So much fun.
Especially in September when they're interactive and
Yep.
Oh boy, hold on.
And I've been lucky too. I've been lucky. I had a good teacher too, because I knew a little bit. Not really enough to be like considered a good moose hunter by any means, but Nick Campagna.
Yeah.
The kid's just a moose guru, so he's taught me a ton. And then Lee and Steven both have taught me everything that, they could show me, and anything I wanted to know, they'll tell me and teach me whatever.
It's good to have that group.
Yeah, I just got good people around me. So my learning curve have definitely been shortened up for sure because I just got good people around me. But yeah, I lean on all those guys quite a bit. But yeah, I'm getting there. I wouldn't consider myself a good moose hunter yet, but I'm getting there. I'm learning a lot more. Yeah.
Don't let them bully.
Yeah, don't let them bully you.
He says the same thing about
He said
deer.
the same thing about deer last time.
There's a zone M in New Hampshire is like the most suburban, high pressure, most development part of the state. And someone I knew drew a moose tag last year, and I asked Timmy if he knew of moose. And put it this way: there's probably five moose in this whole zone, and there's maybe one bull, maybe two bulls. And Timmy put them on a 45-inch bull.
Just 50.
Was it 50? Oh, it's 50. Okay, 50-inch bull.
He killed it too.
He killed it, and Timmy put him right to it. So don't let Timmy fool you.
I was proud of that.
That was cool. That was really cool.
Proud of that.
Now, what zone do you guide up there?
So I've done zone 4, 2, 5, but I could lead books in 1, which is up by 2 and 5. Those are the ones I've done. But anywhere in like Jackman area, like I said, 4, I would do an 8, any of that. But I've done personally so far. I've done 3 seasons, so I've done 4, 2, and 5.
Yeah.
So
you prefer one over the other?
I like 2 and 5 up in that big country up there.
Yeah.
4 was a little busy. We killed the bull. It was good, but 4 gets a little busy.
Well, they want to kill all the moose in 4.
Yeah, that's where they're doing all those cow permits and stuff.
Permits.
And it's busy. But you get up in that North Maine woods there, and like where we hunt in 2 and 5. You go through the gate in Ashland, and we drive. It's an hour and a half out on logging roads just to get out there. So you're out in the middle of nowhere, big country. Yeah, that's what I like. So
when I drew my permit, I was in 1, and we were 23 miles from the nearest tar road.
Yeah,
it was awesome.
Yeah.
We pulled a pop-up camper generator. And brought food and gas for the week, and luckily we got it done very early on in the hunt. But it was just no phone service. No stress. The only stress was what time was supper and what card game are we playing tonight. That was the best part of it.
You know what I figured out about me is I'm a roamer. I am. I'm just like, the bigger the better. Right. You put me in an area and the bigger the better, because I'm not going to do it fast, but I'm going to probably cover most of it before it's done and over with. And I love just having that elbow room. And when I get up in that area up there that I'm talking about, 2 and 5 up in there, it just feels so big to me. That's like I can go left out of the driveway or right, whatever way I want to go. It doesn't matter. And I can just go roam, and I enjoy that. I'm a roamer. I love to just go snoop around and find the next good one. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's just my nature. So it works good in big areas for me because I can kind of just roam wherever I feel like roaming. But I'm figuring moose out, and I think that's why I'm figuring out like their habitat. Like I'm such a deer hunter that
Right.
like I feel,
exciting 'cause it's all
yeah,
brand new.
it's different.
Right.
So I'm figuring it out. I'm just, I'm figuring out that, these kind of cuts right here, this is what moose like this,
Right.
whatever it is. So I'm getting a handle on that a little bit more as time goes, so hopefully after like a decade or so, I'll be better at it and be able to just drive through an area and be like,
there's
yeah,
a bull
right
here.
there.
There's a good bull here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, but yeah, I do love it.
Awesome.
It's like hunting. I always, they never told me this, and a lot of people think this, but I think what I liked about it so much is it's so different than deer, because deer is everything is quiet and sneaky and just there's not a lot of interaction and you're not grunting back and forth with a buck and stuff. Like big bulls in the rut is like turkey hunting. They're like
Yeah.
1,000-pound
It's like
turkeys,
elk,
dude.
yeah,
You know what I
elk,
mean?
turkey.
Yeah.
They're vocal. Like you cow call to them or whatever to them and they hear you, like you're doing it. Like
Your
you
blood
can
gets going before you even hear him or
Yes.
see him, and you
Yeah,
have the time
it's
to
like a
kind of come back down to get focused.
turkey that gobbles 200 yards off and he's coming.
Right.
It's up to you to make the right move here and either say something or don't. You know what I mean? Like you can blow it by talking too much.
Right.
And I think that's the part right there that I'm still getting worked out. How to interact with them and not, say too much. Like turkey hunting, I certainly do that.
Yeah.
Way too much. You know what I mean? But then like he's wicked good at it and he's just got a dial and he just knows how to interact with them. That's what I lean on these guys about is like I'm very squirrely about knowing when to when. Like I
Right.
get it, but I just, I don't have enough experience where like I feel confident that like, he just, did that, so I should do this or should do nothing. You know what I mean? So it's just experience. You know, there's going to be times where I blow it and I should have shut my mouth, and then times where I should have done the opposite. And I don't know.
Sounds like my younger dating days.
Yeah. I do pay attention though. I know the ones that like, okay, that didn't work. What did I do right there? Like I'm the first one to pick on myself. So
Right.
I'll pay attention to like what I do, and eventually I'll just click for me.
Right.
But
Yeah, because if you're stubborn, you're not going to learn it.
yeah, I've always been my own worst critic.
Yeah,
Always. Always. Shane Benoit was the one that got that right in my head right there. He told me right out of the gate, he's like, yeah, people all the time come up and like, oh yeah, almost got the buck, but I didn't get a shot at him. And he looked right at me. He's like, that's on you. Like you didn't see him first.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I was like, man, that's harsh, but he's kind of right.
Right. And that's
He
what you
is.
needed. I bet you from that moment
Completely
on.
changed my perspective
Right.
of it. Like if
Right.
you didn't get him, dude, and like you probably messed up somewhere right there. It's wicked easy to be like, oh, it just didn't work out.
Right.
You know what I mean?
That's easy. Right.
Shane was the one that like, nah, and there's some of those that like you could have done everything right and you wouldn't have got them. But most of the time it's your mistake.
Right.
But when he said that right there, it just completely changed my mind. And I was like, yep, okay. And I never went like, oh, it just didn't work out. That's just the way it went. Nope.
Right,
It was always like, and most of the time when you think it through, you will find a mistake you made.
Right.
And when you do that, when you
And that's
can
with
be,
everything.
yeah, think about that.
everything.
With everything, like you will excel so much faster when you're able to look at yourself in the mirror that way, compared to just be like chalk it up. You can't help but get
accept
better
your
quicker.
flaws.
Yeah,
Or address your flaws.
address your flaws.
Yeah.
Just recognize it and just be like, okay,
Just
yep.
figure how to change it just enough.
Yeah. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be perfect the first time.
Just acknowledging it. So then the next time you're in that situation, to be like, yeah, okay, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like it's enough to.
Don't poke your head out in the cutting.
Yeah.
Maybe hang back and see.
Yep.
You know.
It's a Laney trick right there.
Yeah.
Go slow.
Yeah.
Yeah, Laney always told me that. He always said, man, you wouldn't believe how many bucks I've killed when I'm tracking a buck and he walks out into a big cut. He said, do not step into that cut.
Yeah.
He said, you get tucked right into a fir tree right there on the
yeah.
edge somewhere, and you scan and just watch in that cut and try to find him.
Right.
He's like, most of the time, and he's right, most of the time, those bucks are up there just tucked in there somewhere, 200 yards out there looking back, just hidden behind a little spruce tree, and he's just peeked out watching.
Yeah.
And Laney's like, I have killed a ton of them just by not stepping into that.
Right.
Just stay out here and try to find him. Wait him out. Just look.
How many times have you walked into a cut when you're moose hunting or turkey hunting or whatever it may be, and you don't see any deer walking into the cut, and you take 2 steps in the cut?
Yeah.
There's deer. It's like, wow, where were you hiding?
Yeah.
It's like 3-4 years ago when we were up there. That first year we went up, walked into it was an old cut, and whips were tall, and we just kind of stepped out a little too far, and all of a sudden stood up, I was like, oh man, messed that one up.
Yep.
That sucks.
Yep.
That's where I'm like a cat with a piece of yarn. I can't help myself.
You got
Lead starts going. Lead starts flying. You miss
do that
100% of
too,
the
yeah.
shots you don't take, right?
Right. Yeah.
We're part-time loggers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Let them fly, man.
Oh, always.
Let them fly.
I said you can't kill them if you don't shoot.
That's right.
But then in the same breath, you can take some ethical shots too. It's got to be within reason.
My first one's usually to scare them, to kind of like stop them. That's what I tell people.
Yeah.
I
I
can't
say
say
that
how
just
many.
gets the jitters out.
Yeah.
That's the one.
Close
Yeah.
the barrel out, so the next one I know is going right.
I'm sort of the same.
Yeah.
Usually my first shots are never
good.
my best.
No.
My second and third. My second shot's usually my best.
Yeah.
It's usually like my fourth is pretty spot
The end of the
on.
mag.
Yeah. I'm sitting there going, all right, now we're ready.
Yeah. It's like Tom said, the first one's like jitters.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You just got to shake it.
Let's just
free.
get this out of
Let's
the
just
way.
hit that tree
Let's
that's
just
in
get
front of
this
the deer.
done here now. Yeah. Now I'll
It's like
try.
last year, I shot a pine tree. That was the only thing I shot all year. And it was in 21, I had a bonus tag, antlerless. And I'm like, all right, so I'm pulling up and I had a red dot, which I like the red dot, but this one is a new one to me. And it was like right in the sun. Pull up and I'm like, yeah, I smoked a pine tree. I was like, oh man, that sucks.
Yeah.
You know? So I took a picture of it. I'm like, yeah, put that on
Killed the
Instagram.
dead.
Yeah. But, you know, that's part of it. You know, the way I look at it is, would I would like to shoot a deer every year? 100%. But if I'm going out and I'm hanging out with him 90% of the time, 98% of the time, we're doing something. You know, we're either looking at something new, going through a new swamp, or something. You know, it's
If you can kill deer up here, you can kill deer anywhere in the country.
Yep.
That's the
Yeah.
thing. There's so many guys, like, when I was younger, I used to be notorious for, like,
the TV show hunting.
no, I'd be notorious for, like, shit talking with people, like,
Oh.
and on, like, social media and stuff like that. And probably over the last, like, 6-7 years, I've backed up.
Yeah.
I still throw my jabs in. Don't get me wrong. I still throw my jabs in. But there was this kid 2 days ago, and he was like, look at all these bucks I shot this year, and he was like trying to degrade New England hunters or Northeast hunters, I should say. He's like, look at all these bucks I killed, and I look at his Facebook. He lives in Tennessee,
Right.
And then I go on his Facebook, and he's got like 3 posts of trail camera pictures, and all the deer standing underneath a feeder, and he's like,
Right.
does anybody have gravity feeders for sale? And I'm like, and not to belittle,
Yeah,
people's
to each their
tactics.
own.
Yeah, to each their own. But it's like, if you can hunt up here and kill deer on their own,
Right.
in their own turf without, bait or without food plots, or, and I'm not that I'm
Fences.
against food plots because I've hunted over them, or without fences, or just on their own terms in their own
Right.
playground, you can kill deer anywhere in this country. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, for sure on that. That's it's not many. I've never hunted out west or anything, but you see a lot of it, and like, I got a friend of mine that hunts out in Ohio, and he's like, listen, he goes, the deer just pile through. He goes, you pick which one you want, and that's the one you shoot. I'm like, man, that'd be sweet for a day up here. You know, that's like something you dream of. Oh, we're hunting up southern Maine, northern Maine, wherever you are. See 5, 10, 8, deer walking through. Ah, perfect. That's, but that doesn't usually happen. I mean, there's some oddballs. We've been bow hunting in southern Maine, and we saw a group of 3 bucks all together, and we're like,
We saw 6 bucks that day.
yeah, we're
Okay,
like,
no.
what? And we're not hunting a big piece. I mean, this is small. And we're like, what in the world is going on here? Like that's TV stuff, But
I guess a good way to look at it is look at, guys from out this way that go out west every year and
Right.
hunt public ground out there, and you see what they all come back with bucks every year.
Right.
Whether it's Iowa, Kansas, Illinois,
Yeah.
Indiana, Kentucky, Tennessee, most of them all come back with their
Right.
filled tag.
Well, what's cool about it is when you strip away like food plots and feeding and all that, you actually have to learn deer.
Right.
Right? Outside, like if you hunt that other way, you'll never really understand the way we hunt and stuff. Like you have to learn like
everybody
where
talks.
do they bed? What do they eat? What do they like? All the things. Like you're just forced into
not controlled.
Nothing is controlled.
Right.
You're it's like he said, you're stepping into It's almost like stepping in their world.
We're going into their house.
You're going into their house.
Even just to cement what you're saying there is like, how many people not from the Northeast understand when a big buck goes under a tree and they turn?
Yeah.
You know, that's not something you're going to learn sitting over a food plot in the middle of a field or what have you, whatever you're doing. You know, little things like that, you know.
That's what I always loved so much about buck tracking that was so intriguing to me right there, is because it's like a blueprint of that buck's day.
Right.
Like you're spending the day 100 yards behind him or however far behind him you are. Like that just shows you like everything. It was like
it's almost
final.
like the way they're thinking.
Yeah, it's like reading the last chapter in the book for me.
Right.
Yep.
By being on a buck track, because before that, you're guessing at it. You're trying to like speculate about what a buck does, and you know what I mean. Like you see what you see out of your stand
Right.
for the 30 seconds you see him for that tiny little moment. But what about all the rest? That's what opened that like unlocked all that for me. Which is really cool to see. Just the things.
You learn a lot about deer movement.
Yeah,
on snow too.
Yeah, just what they do and how they do it and why.
Right.
Just I don't know. It just unlocked the last piece of the puzzle right there, because you'll never get any closer than that than being on a track that's fresh in front of you.
Right.
That's as close as you'll ever get to like
Being a deer.
being a
Right.
deer. Period. Right
sure.
there. you
Especially
know?
that time leading up until you jump them. Because
Yep.
then that's their natural life.
Right. And then
Yeah.
after you jump in, you get a whole different perspective of it.
Yeah,
You know,
what they're
okay,
doing
well, this
when they're
one,
scared.
this one ran like this and did this and this, and that one ran, you get to read kind of, all right, well, let's see what's going on here.
Yep.
There's some deer that'll never stop when you jump them. I've had that happen.
Yeah.
And then I've had deer where I've gone 200 yards and I put them up again.
Or deer that jump over 14-foot cliffs into the river.
Yeah.
Back to that main muzzleloader season. When you do jump them, those suckers, they definitely do not seem to freak out like they do in the middle of November.
Yeah.
Middle of November, off they go. I swear, in that muzzleloader season, like you could jump that buck and you will be shooting at him again in 200
Right.
yards.
That internal clock is almost like, all right, there shouldn't be anybody out
Yeah.
here. We're tuckered out. We
Yeah,
time to,
he's just such in that mindset of like, just probably
I need to rest.
I need to
Right.
rest and
Right.
feed, that
Right.
he's not going up and over this mountain and over to that mountain range.
Right.
I don't know. They just don't want to do it.
Or if that was November 15th, you'd be chasing that
Oh,
deer
yeah.
all day long and he'd
Yeah.
never slow down.
Yeah,
Get
you
back
might
to
as
the
well just
truck
go
and-
back
yeah.
to another piece of
Yeah,
woods.
yeah. Go try to start a different buck.
Bare ground. Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
it's true.
Yeah, when they're like that, they'll make you feel like you're the best buck tractor alive.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Get shot into 20s and
Taking off
100
this
yards.
first 2 weeks. I'm taking
Yeah.
off December this year.
Yeah. It's a neat season.
Yeah.
It really is. I like it.
Mass late season's very comparable too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mass,
Oh, I'm sure the deer must get hit
they
hard.
do because
you know?
it's really only Western Mass that gets snow.
Right.
But like Timmy said, I mean, you can jump a deer 3 times in 3 hours and shoot at them every time.
Right.
And eventually, you're gonna get a bullet in them if you
Right.
you're careful enough.
Yeah.
Probably.
Maybe we should go there, Jim.
Yeah. Muzzleload. Yeah.
It's getting bad though. Like the social media aspect of everybody saying,
Yeah.
"Oh, the Berkshires has snow."
That's why we
Right.
didn't do that.
It's terrible. Like you used to. The first time I went to the Berkshires was probably 5 or 6 years ago, and that was like before the forefront of, tracking and like right before it got like its big push.
Yeah.
Might have been the first year of it, but I went out there and I was like, man, there's a lot of deer out here and not a lot of hunters. And
Right.
in the last couple years I've gone out there, there's been a lot of hunters and not a lot of deer.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. Everybody flocks right to
Yeah.
it. Like
So it's a
Jackman
trend.
area.
Yeah, exactly.
Jackman area is like
And
the
we
hub.
that
There's so
phase
many
to
die
names
out.
and there's so many people that have come from that. So many good hunters that have come from that, and people hear that and they go, "Oh, they did it. I'm going to go up there and just shoot whatever." I'm going to go kill a big buck, and then a lot of times you're running over each other.
Yeah, you get cut off more often than not.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of woods up there though. I mean, so many people just head right for Jackman Rangeley. There.
Right.
But
Yeah. There's plenty of land
you can
around
go
it.
north. You can go.
That's
east,
where you should go,
can
Jackman.
south.
Yeah,
Jackman and
Jackman
Rangeley.
only. Go only go
Jackman
to
and Rangeley,
Jackman.
guys. That's the best spot. Best
Don't
spot
go
to
anywhere
go.
else.
Go right to Eustis.
There's no other parts of the state.
Eustis,
it's-
Rangeley, Jackman. That's
Just
it.
stay right there.
Even the center of the state. I mean, you don't hardly see. It seems like everybody wants to talk about specific areas. You go to the center of the state and there's nobody there. It's
Because
hard.
there's no snow. That's
Right.
why. That's the thing is people chase the thrill of snow.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's if you get snow down there though, you can make a mess.
Yeah.
down
Oh,
there.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, we don't have enough land in southern Maine to even really. Western Maine is, southwestern Maine is decent. It usually gets snow first, but I hunted that some last year and got on some decent bucks. But then you run into a lot of people, and even over there, is you'll get into like a big, a logging company owns it all. Then you have somebody that owns 300 acres of posted, and you're like, wow, there's no road that even goes around this, and there's a swamp down here.
Just
And
gonna
a hill
push
up
them
here.
over there.
Yeah, so it's kind of one of those
Same
things.
as down here.
Yeah,
But you still try, you know?
Yeah.
You
Oh,
get
yeah.
some
put in the
people
effort and try to get them before they hit that.
Around here, it's like, okay, I'm gonna hunt this deer. He's spending, most of his fall over here, and then gun season picks up, and guys do drives, or people walk into the woods, blow the deer out. Now he's on the neighbor's posted property, and good luck getting a crack at him
Right.
now because he's safe over there, and
Right.
he's not gonna be bothered.
probably laid up with a doe.
Yeah, we
he's
have
all
a
set.
ton of that around here. There's so much posted ground, and
Those does are so smart too that they're teaching the buck like, hey, I don't get shot over here.
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. You can go into a piece of woods that's an acre,
Yeah.
and people would never think there's deer in there, and you walk in there and 10 deer jump up and run away, and it's like, what are they doing in here? Oh, well, it's the third week of gun season, and
Right.
every
Yeah.
piece of woods that has substantial woods has been shot at or driven, and they're all gonna hide over here, and that's
Oh, yeah.
that's what I love about actually that during gun season. That's usually when I thrive, is because I'll go into those smaller
Same,
woods,
yeah.
and I have no problem picking up a bow in the middle of
Right.
November when I still have a gun tag,
Right.
because, and not that it's not legal to hunt there, but it's like, I really don't want to be shooting a gun 120 yards from
Right.
someone's house, but I'll shoot my bow here.
Yeah, for
and,
sure.
And that happens more times.
Learn the
than not.
escape routes and
Yeah.
just set up.
Do you
Yeah.
think that those deer pick those places? Do you think it's scent? Like, there's no scent? Like that 1 acre out of this 100, 99 of it gets pushed, right? People hunting it, people pushing it, people walking through it, all that pressure. It always amazed me how they can find that one little spot. And I always wondered, like,
Right.
how does he know that that doesn't get touched? And the only thing that ever made sense to me was, because nobody ever walks in there, there is absolutely just zero scent.
Yeah.
So he goes through it, and somehow can he tell?
I think it's just the pressure. Like, there's a
Right.
lot of stuff that people won't walk in because I got to walk 40 yards from that house. I can hunt that legally, but I
Right.
got to walk 40 yards behind someone's backyard and not go, and a lot of guys aren't going to do that. You know what I mean? You're legal
Right.
to do it, but
It's
not a
the
lot-
fact of like getting in a confrontation with a
right,
homeowner.
exactly. And I think that's probably more or less what it is.
So you think it's him feeling
safe?
pressure?
His gut feeling.
Yeah, I've been shot at, or I've been, I've smelled people here. I've, seen something that wasn't another deer here, and here. And annually, I mean, those deer do the same stuff, especially over
Right.
by me, year after year. I can tell you almost to the exact dates from just like the
Right.
cameras I run and stuff like that. Like, no, there's one spot, November 20th to the 26th. I've shot a buck there the last 3 years in that same
Right.
spot, and it's like every year.
Right.
I cannot hunt that spot all season, but if I hunt it November 20th through the 26th, I can guarantee you I'll shoot a buck.
Right.
there.
Well, it's like my mother-in-law. She has a small parcel, southern Maine, and there's not a ton of land, but there's enough everywhere where people can hunt.
Yep.
And she doesn't hunt, and she's got it posted because of four-wheeler stuff tearing up the back property. But we have 12, 15 deer that kind of just hang out right there, and I'm kind of like, I'm married into this family. She has neighbors I don't want to piss off. So, there's been a couple times I'm sitting there, I'm like looking at a little buck like a crotch horn. I'm like, well, it's the last day of muzzleloader. Maybe I'll take him. I'm sitting there. I'm like, I can see the house through the trees, the neighbor's house. I'm far enough away, but do I want to start that issue? Because if that thing runs up and dies on the lawn in front of the kids, like,
Yeah, it's
I'll
one
just,
thing if it's a monster. And
yeah, if it's a big buck, it's going down. But the end of the year, the freezer deer, I'm not, but it's weird because I go out there. That's where we cut our firewood from, so we're out there enough. So I don't know if it's the smell or not, but they've never been shot at there.
I've always
they've
wondered
never-
if they're like dogs, like they can,
That's it.
right
or just smell a different person. Like they're used to being behind these people's home,
right,
and they're used to what those people smell like, and then a new person comes in.
right, yeah,
might
I
be-
think
might
that
be a little
scent
crazy,
has to
but
be a
gotta
giant
be.
part of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to.
right.
Because how would they know, minus being jumped out of that little tiny 1 acre, if he's getting pressure in the 99 out and around it, right? How does he
Right.
and it's buck after buck. It's not
Right.
just that buck. Kill that buck, and then the next big one, you will catch him in that 1 acre too.
Right.
Like, how do they know?
Yeah, it's gotta
Like,
be
how do
the
they
scent,
know
the
that acre?
swirl or something or
Thermal hub.
Yeah.
Good spot for all the wind thermals to settle.
Yeah.
I mean, that happens
Sight
a
lines.
lot.
Yeah.
Where, big buck's bed is where they can see and smell everything around them.
Oh, yeah.
They're going to use their senses to their
Right.
advantage. I don't know, because I've seen it both ways though. Because a lot of the stuff I do hunt around me is pretty suburban. I don't even play like if I'm going into big woods, I'll play the wind 100%. But if I'm going into like a smaller chunk of woods, I don't give two shits
Right.
about the wind.
The kids are out screaming.
Yeah,
You know.
there's somebody yelling, leaf blowing. I can't tell you how many videos I've taken like and showed to people, and they're like, "How close is that person running the chainsaw?" I'm like, "Oh, they're like 120 yards away."
Right.
It's like here comes deer walking by, and
Yeah.
and I don't know. I think the deer just are accustomed to people and.
Well, they're almost
activity.
a different breed. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That,
it
like
is. Yeah.
suburban deer is kind
Yeah,
of
'cause if you put that deer
Completely different.
up
in the
on-
middle of the woods, they're like,
middle of the mountain,
"Oh."
somebody's gonna walk up to them. They're gonna look at them and be like, "What are
Right.
you?" Boom.
Yeah.
There you go. There's the end of that.
Those are
Yeah.
the deer that watch you walk by too.
Yeah. Oh
Right.
yeah,
Oh
definitely.
yeah, I've got videos on my phone. We got a almost all white. The only brown on him is just the top of his head in my mother-in-law's neighborhood. And he'll sit there as soon as you pull up. The kids are like, "Wow, look at that!" yelling, and he's just like, "Oh man, you better do something different."
Yeah.
You know.
Albino or piebald.
Yeah, piebald. Yeah, and then he's got his twin, whatever it is. I don't. They're too young right now, but yeah, they literally will sit there and just watch you. The mother stands there and she'll eat the neighbor's rose. And they're just watching you. You sit right there. I mean, from here to that doorway.
Wow.
They're right.
5 yards. That's cool.
It's just they sit right there, and we're not like super suburban. You know what I mean? It's not like a tiny little town. It's but yeah, no, I think it's all gut feeling scent. They're
Yeah.
way more in tune with their.
That albino deer is not in Wyndham. It's in Jackman.
Go find them, guys.
They won't be able to find it. I know it's all posted.
Yeah.
If somebody pulls up with that deer, they're in trouble. Unless they catch him out on the road, he'll get hit before he gets shot.
Yeah.
Because it's too tight in there. With a bow, maybe, but you got to get permission. But Wyndham, New Hampshire.
Pressured bucks are a different deal, though.
Yeah.
They are definitely a different animal. It's taken me a lot of years and I don't even still have a handle on it, but more than I used to. But they definitely,
They don't get big by being dumb.
they think completely different. Just their survival is different. It's a different tactic than bucks up north.
Yeah.
Right.
Way different. Yeah, you gotta. It's like you're playing a completely different sport. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
and everyone's different too. You might have one buck that you feel like you got a really good grip on it, and then you either kill him or someone else kills him, and then you get another one in the same piece of woods, and he does the complete opposite thing. You're
Right.
like,
Yeah.
oh, this is going against everything that other deer did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It happens a lot too.
They just disappear and you never know.
That happens so much.
That happens to us on that big piece that we were talking about last year, that big monster. And then halfway through the season, I'm doing a job, and I drive up and there's trucks everywhere, and I go, "What the hell? They're not even supposed to be up here." Well, people built new houses on this road that goes way into the woods, and they're letting all their buddies come in this side.
Yeah,
So I go,
yeah.
"That makes sense." He's not even coming anywhere near here anymore. So, but yeah, it's funny.
I can't tell you how many bucks friends of mine have been hunting or showing me pictures of, and then all of a sudden the deer disappears, and then I run and meet a new person or see somebody that's not on social media or something like that. Like,
Look at this
look
monster."
buck I got. I shot this deer 2 years ago. It's like, I know that deer. They're like,
Yeah.
no, you don't. I'm like, you want to see trail camera pictures?
Yeah.
Because here you go.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my God. They're like, you did. And I was like, yeah, I hunted that, or my buddy hunted it.
Right.
Not every deer makes it on the Hawkeye or social media or,
That's the nice thing too, because I kind of like that little mystery. Like
the
you
elusiveness.
can still meet someone and be like, "Whoa, shot a huge buck that
Yeah.
wasn't posted everywhere." Well, I mean, the Benoits probably would have been the same way if people didn't approach them
Right.
asking them, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
Yeah.
They would have just. That's what they did. That's
Yeah.
Right.
yeah.
They're responsible for half the hunting heritage in the Northeast
sure.
right now.
Yeah.
One family. That one family is.
Yeah.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, you get the Benoits, and then you have like Rodney and his boys now that
Yeah.
they're kind of like that next step in, that doing that same thing. Then you have Hal and all the Big Woods Bucks guys, and like you and everybody. And you
Steve.
have like Steve, you have Steve, and you've got these guys that are at least carrying it on, at least putting it out there. So there could be a bunch of secret savages. You know what I mean? There could be a bunch of Timmys. There could be a bunch of Lannys and Larrys, and all the boys and that never say anything. But it takes a little bit of that to kind of show, and the next generation's going to say, like, "Holy smokes, Timmy Bolduc, look at these things. You know, like my kids are like, my dad talked to Timmy Bolduc. Look at all that. You know, that's how that's going to ignite that fire. It'll at least help ignite that fire.
I want my kid to say, my dad shoots big deer.
Yeah. You know what I mean? I don't even care about the big thing. Dad shoots deer.
Yeah, exactly. That's all I want.
Yeah, but you know, that's what helps drive that for the next generation, because
100%.
especially now with like YouTube and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Like you put those videos out, what kid do you know that doesn't, you know, hey mom, can I? And they're sitting there staring at their phone for at least a half hour. If you can get them on, hey, let's watch Woodman Arms, let's watch Bigwood Bucks, let's watch, you know, Mountain Deer, let's watch whatever.
Yep.
Get the Benoit DVDs, get them in there. They're going to be hooked. You know,
it's easy for kids to get discouraged in today's world though, because they see so much success on social, you know, on YouTube
Right.
and stuff
It's
like
that
that.
instant gratification.
that's why I shoot small deer, because I'm like, hey, listen, I can shoot them, you can too.
I tell you what,
That's honestly why, like, we didn't. I mean, you can pursue big deer all the time and take your
Right.
pictures, show big deer, but I don't really like that, because I want the kids to know, like,
it's okay to
Right.
shoot a spike.
yeah, just
Oh,
go
yeah.
on.
Okay.
Whatever
Yeah,
you're
okay.
happy
We shot four
with your
pointers the
family.
same day, or the next day after, or the same day. I don't remember what it
Yeah,
was.
close
But,
together.
you know, same exact size, little tiny 140-pound 4-pointers. I mean, in his face and my face on the picture, just as happy, dude.
Yeah, we'll never forget it.
You know,
Yeah, I know two guys, their first year, one was a 200 and something pound buck, and the other one was like a 240 pound buck. Neither
Ruined
of them. Neither of them hunt anymore.
right?
Yeah.
And it's like, I tell you what, big buck comes in when my kid starts hunting. I'm gonna cough, fart, sneeze, something.
Yeah.
Kill that thing. That little spike horn, or that
Right.
button buck, or whatever that comes in. Go ahead.
Right.
You're gonna earn your stripes. You're gonna work
Yeah,
your bottom.
for
You're gonna
sure.
work from the bottom. Work your way
I
up.
think it
Or
goes
try
either
to
way.
beat me.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
I'm shooting that thing first.
Yeah.
But
Could
yeah,
make them a monster, or it could make them spoiled.
Right.
Right.
Well, that's exactly that.
50-50.
right.
I feel like the people that get their first year, I can't tell you how many people I know that shot, you know, huge 140-inch deer, 150-inch deer as their first year, or 200-pound, you know.
And then they go a
200
year or two without seeing anything.
They don't even hunt anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's easy. It's like, no, it's not. You got lucky.
Right.
You got
Yeah.
real damn
Yeah.
lucky. You
Well, I
know?
got a guy that I work
Prove
with,
it's
and he's
easy.
like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you have a big buck patch?" I go, "No." He goes, "You don't? I thought everybody had one of those." And I go, "No." I said, "Well, tell me your story." He's like, "Oh, yeah, first time ever hunting." He was like in his late 30s.
Yeah.
First time ever hunting. Walked out, sat down to like eat a snack. 207-pound deer, whatever. Walks out, bang, shoots it. I was like, "Yeah, that's like luck, man. You
Yeah,
should have
it's
bought
luck.
a lottery ticket."
Yeah.
You know, you can do that in Maine, but it's so hard. Even in the Northeast, I should say, not just Maine, but in the Northeast, you can sit down and eat your bologna sandwich and shoot a monster. But that's a story in itself. You know, it's
Depends
not
what you're going out to do.
right.
Yeah.
You know, it's a hard.
I've shot a
thing
lot
to
of
do.
deer in my life, and it took a long time for me to get a 200-pound
Right.
deer. It doesn't come easy.
Right.
Some people make it out to be easy, but it doesn't come easy.
Yeah.
It definitely doesn't.
They can talk to what they want, but
Yeah.
it's all great. All of it's great.
It's better when you're in it too. If you shoot your first one and it's a big deer, it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not that you don't appreciate it because you understand you did get something nice, but when you hunt 10 years, 12
Right.
years, 15 years, 20 years, whatever it may be, and you shoot 20, 30, 40 deer before you get that
Right.
Yeah.
big one.
It's that much
he means
solidified,
to
right.
you, no doubt.
Was that one with Lucas? Was that
That was my first 200.
Yeah.
That was my first 200.
that was a
program.
nice one
That was a
too?
beauty, yeah. But I mean, I probably shot 80 deer in my life before I killed that.
right.
You know, it was.
So your appreciation was that much.
Oh my
more.
god, and it was funny because I set a goal for myself for that year, and I was actually doing a podcast with another group of guys, and they're like, "What's your goals for the season?" I was like, "I want to shoot 200-pound deer," and I
Right.
did that year, and like it just to meet that goal,
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
like, man, that
Manifested it.
it
Right.
was,
Yeah.
and like I always said to myself, I was like, I can't die till I could kill a 200-pound deer. I can't. Like,
Right.
I can die without having kids.
We'll
I
try
can
to get another one, bud.
Set another goal.
You know,
Guys, tell them.
Yeah.
I want to keep you around.
I'm like, that's something I wanted to before I kicked the bucket, and now I'm like, okay, I can die happy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can sleep.
Yes.
Yeah.
But hopefully, there's more to come. I hope.
Oh yeah, you'll get
I
more.
think you'll be all right.
Yeah. By the sounds of it.
Going to Alberta this fall, so
Are you?
yeah, they're big up there.
I know they are. I've been there. It's awesome.
Yeah, they're. I'm
Who are you
excited
going
for
up there with?
it. Me and Brett are going to that place where he killed his velvet
Nice.
deer. Yeah. We're gonna be. You
Timmy likes Alberta.
want to go?
Timmy likes Alberta. He's been talking about his own third person.
I've never hunted outside the Northeast for deer
Right.
ever. So this is like
You haven't?
Never. I've never been to the Midwest. I've never been.
I haven't
You'd
either.
love it.
Oh, I can't wait. And I was gonna go to the Midwest this year, and the opportunity presented itself to go to Alberta, and I'm like, that seems a lot cooler than the Midwest. 300-pound deer,
Right.
big chocolate racks. I'm like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Now, are you going archery?
No, we're going for rifle.
Nice.
November 10th through the 16th is the hunting dates, but we'll probably leave on like the 8th, drive to Montreal, fly from Montreal to Edmonton,
Yep.
stay a day in Edmonton, or, before the hunt, then hunt. I think it's Monday through Saturday, or Sunday through, it's Monday through Saturday. And then, fly back from Edmonton to Montreal and drive home. But I'm looking, that should be an experience. And
Alberta's
Oh,
awesome.
that'd be
and the
cool.
deer up there, and the pictures I see of them, I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, these things are huge.
Yeah,
They're-
Right.
Yeah, they're giants.
I for some reason, I thought you went to
Nope,
you-
Alberta.
oh, yeah, that's where her muley came from,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, we had just gotten together. We had only been together like a year or two, not very long.
Yeah.
And she had a friend that was like partnered with an outfitting business up there, and we got just the invite.
Yeah.
Didn't have to pay anything. It was like,
Oh, that's awesome.
you know what I mean? I'm like, yeah, okay.
Why would you not go?
Right.
And I'm telling you, it was one of the coolest things I've ever, like, just, if you're a deer hunter, go check that out
Yeah,
for
right.
sure. But what I really liked about it up there, nothing against bait, but I don't want to sit in a blind over a pile
an
of
alfalfa
alfalfa.
bale.
You know what I
Right.
mean? I didn't want to do it. It's just, to me, and I'm not bashing on anybody that wants to do that. Me personally, I didn't want to do it that way. Alberta, there's no baiting.
There's no baiting, yeah.
Right.
So it's fair game, dude. It's
Right.
just,
That's
Because
awesome.
I think
You know.
Manitoba, Saskatchewan, I think even Ontario, I think a lot of those provinces, it's all, like you said, it's
Yeah.
all baiting.
yeah.
Saskatchewan, 1000% is.
Yep.
But Alberta, like you said, no bait, which is,
You
that's
need
what
a-
I wanted.
A guide in Alberta, you need
You
one.
need anywhere
Yeah.
in Canada.
Yeah. Other than Ontario.
Other than, I think even in Ontario you do now. Or is it
Maybe, unless they changed it.
Yeah.
You never used to. But
Yeah.
that was
But
the only province I think they
Brunswick,
didn't.
Manitoba, Saskatchewan, all of it you do.
But Alberta was pretty similar, like, to maybe the Northeast a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, there was areas, it's not like where I wasn't, not as congested with people like this. More like farm country, straight roads, and
Big timber.
this farmer, he owns 200 acres, but then it hits the edge. They call it the bush. And just I hunted that kind of ground, and then here was where you stay, but then all of that out there was the bush.
Right.
And that was just northern Maine.
Right.
Massive country, just giant logging road systems that go all out through there, just bush country, man. I'll talk about a place to go cut buck tracks.
Right.
I actually, because the guy that Andrea knew that invited us, he knew I was vibrating. You know what I mean? He was, and Andrea had told him, he's a buck tracker. That's what and he finally, one day, he's like, hey, man, you want me to drop you off? And, you can just, if you want, come. I'm like, yep.
Yeah.
So I did. You almost couldn't track a buck up there.
there's so many big
Dude,
ones.
there was so many big buck tracks everywhere. They were just stepping all over each other in there. You know what I mean? It was just like, holy smokes. You'd be in a barnyard all the time.
Your
out
goat
there.
track looks like our buck tracks around here.
Yeah, so I killed the last day. I finally killed because I wasn't sure. I'm looking at these tracks in the snow, and there was a lot of snow because it's Alberta. It was
Right.
a lot of snow, powdery, so really difficult to see really
Distinguish
crispy
it, yeah.
tracks.
Right.
But anyways, last day, Andrea was sitting in this place, and she was seeing all these bucks, and there was one. She showed me. She took a picture with her phone, and she's like, check out this buck I passed. And I looked right at her. I was like, oh, you're crazy. And she's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, look at the size of that buck. That is a giant bodied buck. Probably just 140-inch rack, something like that. But this buck stuck out, no doubt. She showed me pictures of multiple, but that one
Was a 4x8 sheet of plywood.
dude, just a giant, the biggest body buck I'd ever seen. I killed that buck last day.
No kidding.
Yep. He come right across this field. I watched him coming across. Borrowed muzzleloader from a guy. First one, yeah. Cocked the hammer back. It was a night muzzleloader, the bolt that you slide back.
yeah.
Got that thing back. Dude, buck's walking right to me. I'm sitting right in a gap that he's going to walk right through, and I'm sitting right in the gap. He's walking right to me. First one, touch it off. The hammer hits, nothing. Primer. No, not a primer. A old cap.
Number 11 cap.
Yep,
yeah.
number 11 cap, nothing. And the buck never heard it, nothing. Just keeps on walking right to me. This buck is 20 yards away. I reach down, recock that thing, and I'm like, hope and pray, let's try it again. And dude, off it goes. And I hammered him, dumped him right there. But anyways, that field that he came across, I walk up to him and I look at him, and this thing is, I never weighed it. I'm telling you, this buck was 300 pounds dressed.
Right.
There's no doubt in my mind. Like, I tried to pull on it. That buck was 300 pounds, easily dressed. But I turned around and walked right back down his track and spun and walked it back to see what it looked like.
Yeah.
Not what you'd think at all.
Small?
Way smaller than
Yeah.
I would have ever thought.
His stride was probably the only thing that gave it away, right?
So normal. Just
Really?
just very normal. Like, not real super wide stagger like you'd think on
Yeah.
a buck that big.
Yeah.
Just, I don't know, you would never pick that out and think they're like, dude, that is,
Right.
It wasn't like Maine. Maine is super easy, I feel like, because when
Big
you
flat-footed
they
bastards.
just big old flat-footed, right? That's just what they are. I'm telling you, you go to Ontario, you go to all these other provinces in Canada and stuff like that. It is not like that, and I don't understand why. But for some reason, like our bucks, when it comes to tracking, it is so easy to figure out what you are tracking up here in the Northeast compared to those other places. Because, like I said, I had him laying on the ground. I saw how big he was, and like I said, I'm a buck tracker, so I just wanted to see how he walked, and it is not at all what you would have thought. Yeah. Very, very different.
It's
but
the buck I killed a couple years ago, that big one. I would have never taken his track in the snow. I looked at his feet, and they looked like a 140-pound doe.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
it was like, you wouldn't even be able, if he got into a group of deer, you would have never been able to pick him out. You would have just had to hope you picked the right track, leaving a barnyard of tracks. But
Yeah.
I was like, man, 220 pounds dressed, and
Yeah.
you have feet that are the size of a doe's.
Yeah.
It's like me wearing a size 9.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
some of them are just that way. You know, some of them just don't have real great big feet. Those are the ones I always look for oddities, like look for a
Side step.
long toe or, just that's what I really like.
Right. Toes ground right down to
Age.
nothing.
Because that's what that's showing
Right.
you. That's age.
Right.
You know, when they're really nice and uniformed and stuff. I don't care if it's big. I tracked a huge buck this year with Seth. Giant buck. And that buck's feet was so perfect. Just
Right.
perfect. And I'm telling you, they were massive. Big, 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 big. But his feet were just perfect. I know that was just a young
Right.
215 or 20 pound buck.
Right.
But that buck was
4-year-old.
4-year-old.
Yeah.
It was one of those.
Freak.
Freak.
Yeah.
Just one of those freak ones.
Yeah, you give
massive.
Him, you give him 2 years, that thing's gonna have a
Yep.
gnarly rack.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
250 pounds,
Right.
right. Kill him.
But those other, you have some of those that they just have that oddity to them. You know what I mean? It's not uniform.
Something's different,
It's something's
right.
different.
One
Just-
toe shorter than the
Ah,
other. Right?
You find that right there, and that's age. It's always age. It takes time to be able to do that to your feet
Right.
for that buck. So it's age.
Yeah.
And I don't care if he's 193 pounds and 7.5.
Right, it's the
Cool.
same
Take it.
accomplishment.
Right.
They all die the same.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep.
Yeah.
He's still a tough buck to kill.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Age. That's the
Yeah.
trick right there.
Wisdom.
Those are the tough ones right there. But
Did you have any? I want to set you up for success. So, did you have any goals this year?
Kill a big buck in Alberta. That's
Yeah.
all right. I guess. Yeah, I mean, I recently becoming a parent. The last year, definitely priorities change. I used to hunt everywhere in the Northeast in a season. I'd hunt Pennsylvania, New York, Mass, New Hampshire, Vermont, Maine. There wasn't a state that I would miss their opener. I'd hunt I'd take the whole month of November off. In this past year, I hunted New York, Mass. I barely hunted Mass. I only hunted really New Hampshire, Maine, and New York. But this year, I'm kind of, my mindset is going to be on Alberta. And if I kill a deer, if I kill a buck in New Hampshire before I go, great. And if not, if I go to Alberta and have the hunt of my life, or
Right.
just the experience of my life, the experience is going to be phenomenal in itself. But if I go out there and shoot a good buck, that'll be
awesome.
That'll be awesome. It'll be fantastic. So
Yeah.
I guess that's my goal for this year.
Well, wish you luck, man.
Thanks,
That's
man.
awesome.
Yeah. Maybe get out with Timmy.
we should.
Timmy said Timmy called me last year when he killed his muzzleloader buck, and he goes, first words out of his mouth, "I'd give a finger for you to be here right now."
I was 2 miles from my truck.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
He goes,
I'm
"If
like,
there's one person I could wish to be here right now, it'd be you."
The dragger.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, he's huge, 6'4", whatever.
lean
I was
forward.
like, oh,
Just
Yeah.
lean forward and go.
I got him out.
Yeah.
Luckily, it was downhill, so
That's a big thing.
I actually did it pretty quick. It was a couple miles, but that was at 10:30. I talked to you at like
Yeah, it was
10:30 in
pretty
the
early.
morning,
Yeah.
and I think I had him in my truck at 1.
That's really
So
good.
not too bad.
That's not
2
bad
two and a
at
half
all.
hours. That's a quick time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got lucky. The first deer I shot in the snow, died like 40 yards off the road.
Perfect.
I'm like going uphill. I'm like, dude, why are we not doing this? Why have I not done this before? You know, sitting there like,
Yeah.
we usually drag them down from like in the middle of the swamp, and we're dragging them up the hill.
Yeah.
I'm like, no. This snow thing is where it's at.
Yeah,
You know,
they glide a lot easier.
oh,
than snow.
I mean, it was insane. Like I remember just saying, I was like, I feel like I'm walking my dog. Like he's trying to piss on a mailbox, and I'm just pulling him.
Yeah.
I mean, it was nice, but
What's your goal this year, Jim?
I'd like to shoot a 200-pounder this year. But my goal is to have a healthy little boy, and yeah, hopefully he's healthy and everything's good. And if I see a 200-pounder, if I shoot a 200-pounder, that'd be pretty awesome.
What's
wanna
your
get
goal
it.
this year, Tom?
200-pounder with a bow. That's what
That'd
I
be
want.
awesome.
That's what I
Nice.
want to do. Yeah,
I'd also like to shoot my first bow deer.
yeah.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I've given you some shots.
I know. That whole bow thing isn't really my.
New world.
Yeah, it's like a whole new learning curve.
It's
like
fantastic,
you know,
though.
it's
I
fun
love
to do
it.
this
Makes you a better hunter.
It
for
does.
sure.
Yep.
Well, that's it's funny because that was the first day ever that I bow hunted. We snuck up within like 10 yards of a coyote, 2 coyotes.
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
there, they're playing like messing around, and then I could see him way out, and I snuck up on him, took the boots off to kind of feel the ground, and I mean he was 10 yards away, and I'm like, holy smokes! And like ever since then, I'm like, if I put in all the effort during bow season, all it's going to do is fine tune me for rifle season.
1000%.
Because I'm not really nimble through the woods.
Yeah.
So that bow season, if I can sneak up, and then we've got a couple of good shots on deer, but
I actually required you to go bow hunting with me, so
Yeah. so I
so
wouldn't
you would
step on
see how
sticks
much it
behind
sharpens you.
Yeah.
1000%.
and
It's a great
definitely-
time to kill a big buck, too. If
Yeah.
you can
Yeah.
locate him and figure him out, get that intel you need on him, man, there is almost no better time to kill
Right.
one right there.
And that's that learning curve for me is like the drawback, aim, make sure you're level. My brain doesn't work that slow, that fast, that slowly, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like, we had my brain is definitely slow for
makes
sure.
sense, Jim. Makes sense. Yeah, we got it,
But we had one jump out on us. That was also the first year on the power line. I mean, big mass rack.
Oh, yeah, that was
and it
big,
was just like,
big one.
and I was like, oh, he's gone. I don't even know. Like, how do you do that? But I'm also realizing that a lot of bow hunters aren't, tromping through the woods and then like pulling up like Robin Hood.
That's tough.
Yeah. That's
I
what
do a
we're
lot
doing.
of still on.
That's
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I
dude.
love
So
it,
I've never
yeah.
been in a tree stand.
That's
before
how I
in my
showed
life.
him. We went and saw the $6
Yeah.
that day. We were doing.
All still
walking
hunting.
around.
Yeah, dude.
I
and-
just do whatever the opposite people are doing.
right.
Like
And
everyone's in a stand, we're walking.
I've got buddies that have been bow hunting forever, and they're like, yeah, I sit in a stand like 5-6 hours a day and I've never seen a deer. And I'm like, well, dude, come walk with us. You can't walk and shoot. You can't see a deer with a bow and while you're walking. I'm
can.
like,
We shot
yeah,
it at
right, you know what I mean?
together.
Right.
Yeah, we shot at an 8-pointer together, like literally standing side by side.
Yeah.
1, 2.
You
We just
know.
both hit a branch.
Yeah.
but
I'm sitting
that's
there
fun.
and I watch my Lumina go up, and I'm like, that's not where that should
They're
have
gonna
gone.
spend $30.
Yeah. So, it's a whole different thing, and I've got good buddies of mine that are really into bow hunting. That's all they want to do, and they're like, "You're crazy. You're crazy to just do it off the ground without, But it's
That
just
is a
it's
different
sharpening
tactic.
that skill, man.
But,
If I can shoot one still hunting with a bow, there's no way one's gonna get away from me with a rifle.
What's
That's the way I
funny
look at it.
about that 8-pointer is I was taking him down in this piece, and I try to be respectful with my walking. Like if I didn't know the guy was in this piece.
Yeah.
We walked right up to him. He's in a ladder stand. He didn't see us. I'm like, all right, let's back out. So when we turn around, we start going up the walking trail. And I was telling him in the truck, like, sometimes you walk right by the deer, and the deer is just in these areas. They're just watching you. And then we saw. I
Yeah.
think you spotted him.
Yeah, I was walking. I was like, "Nah, that's a big buck."
Yeah.
I was like, "Get out of the way!" You see, because he's standing in front of me. I kind of like ran into him.
Yeah, I had to
And
stop.
I'm like, "Get out of the way!" Shoot this thing, man.
I was like, I wanted to figure out what it was for a deer. I'm like, I don't know if he's gonna shoot first.
Oh, that's when it's us, man. It's hey, you better get out of my way.
Yeah, now we
You
both know. Just
We're
start-
not waiting for
Start
anybody.
flinging
Gotta
arrows.
get
Yeah.
going. Yeah.
But it's I don't know. That to me is more of a rush. Just walking up on a deer with a bow, because
Yeah,
you're like,
it's hard.
holy smokes! Like with a
it
rifle,
is hard.
With a rifle, I know 100%, dude. I'm putting something out there. I'm gonna either scare the piss out of it or hit it, one or the other.
Right.
When you walk up, when you're in 20-30 yards of a deer and you're sitting there and you walked up on it, it's like,
Or they're coming down the trail as you're coming up.
yeah,
You got to adjust.
right.
That's what makes the shot so tough. But
I probably shot 30 deer with a bow in my life, and I've only ever shot one on the ground. With
Yeah.
a bow, so that's
Yeah.
I tip my hat to. 'cause
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's not easy.
I just never. I've always hated heights.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm gonna figure it
go
out on the
walk,
ground.
yeah.
And I don't trust the weight ratings on tree stands. So,
There's no buddy stand where getting it. That's for sure.
but no, that's my goal this year, 200 pounder, and I'd like to shoot. I don't care if it's a doe or whatnot this year with a bow. That would be
It's a good goal.
yeah. Get that out of the way because I started bow hunting. I started when I was 30. So it's like, or maybe 29. It's really late for I don't want my kids starting that late.
Yeah.
But that's my goal this year.
Bow hunting school, it forces you into like containing yourself in the moment. That's a difficult thing, when you have passion and that moment arises in front of you, it's wicked easy to
get overwhelmed,
overworked in anything, right? Whatever it is, when you're that passionate about it. But bow hunting, it's like people can do that with a gun and get lucky. It's like bow hunting, dude. You either get a handle on it,
or you don't,
or you don't, or you're not getting the deer.
Yeah,
and that's why it makes you better gunner.
Right?
Yeah.
So
it forces you to just get a handle on yourself in that moment.
Right. So Tommy's dad always shot instinctive. So trying to learn that, when I was learning how to shoot, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, whatever it was, he'd pull up and there's no sight on it. He's just thunk and he's nailing it. I'm going, what are you doing? Like, how do you do that? I don't understand instinctive. That's not how I don't operate that way. But seeing how Tommy's dad can do it his way, and Tommy shows me with a sight and a release, and learn it that way. And then Chris, Tommy's older brother, is like
Chris tunes all my bows and stuff.
You know
I
what
just
I
shoot
mean?
them.
So it's cool. I'm really fortunate, like you were saying, with getting help from whoever doing moose hunts, and you can talk to all these people. This family alone is like the only network I need to learn how to shoot a bow.
Yeah.
So now I'm like, all right, I'm pretty confident. I don't practice as much as I should, but I sling quite a few arrows during, off season. And it was all just by learning, okay, we'll do this, do that, and hold it differently. Maybe hold your hand open
Yeah,
instead
it's a
of,
lot of learning.
Yeah.
A lot of
There's
learning.
a lot of different tricks. But
every year I shoot a bow, I learn something different. Or
get
better at it.
Well, that's like what's that stabilizer you were talking
Back
about?
bar.
I didn't even know about those until I saw yours.
Yep.
A kid last year came and shot with me, a friend of mine. He gave me a little nugget that helped me all these years. Been bow hunting forever. And it was just one of those ones I was like, man, I never did it that way. So anyways, I used to deal with target panic and all that stuff. Everybody has, right? Everybody deals with it. So for me, when I would draw my bow, my focus would always be on my pin. Secondary focus would be the target. You flip-flop those and take the focus off your pin and stare at the deer or the target.
Your pin's always subconsciously going to go back to the middle. Always.
It does.
Right.
It goes right there. See, I always did opposite. But when you're dealing with target panic, when you're focused on your pin and it gets close to right there where I'm trying to shoot, that's your panic. Right. Because you're so focused on the pin, it eliminates it in a way to some degree because your focus is on your target and the pin is just there. But like he said, you stare at that and just do this right here for long enough, and eventually your pin will be right there on it. But just making the focus on the target instead of the pin.
Right.
Man, did that help me.
I'm just getting over target panic myself now, and it's amazing, like using a back tension release. And, just the tips and tricks, how much more efficient you can get with it too. I used to be a trigger slapper so bad. I'd be like, my pin's there. You
know how I ended up getting over that? Because it's funny because I grew up in this other generation where we didn't have any YouTube videos. There was no YouTube. There was nothing.
Right.
You would just figure it out.
Yeah.
You had to figure it out. So when you draw your bow back, right, and you get your fingers, let's say your finger's behind your trigger, you put it up in the front, now you're able to shoot, right? And the pin is out somewhere around what you're trying to shoot at. Like you said, you would, as you came in, like you almost either couldn't, say you could get it to it, but it just got on there, then it was a hammer, right? Like you touch it off.
Yeah.
I had it so bad at some points where I couldn't even get close to it, like the bullseye. I'd be down in here somewhere coming to it, and just getting close to it would be enough to hit it, right? So what I ended up doing was, dealing with that was always my sight picture. I never ever made my pin get to it. I one time figured out that I came back, and instead of putting my trigger up, my finger in front of my trigger where I could actually hit it, I kept it behind and kept it stuffed behind. then went through the exact same process, right? But now the bead is sitting right on the target. My pin is on the target. And now I'm getting a picture. I'm seeing it. I'm in it. I'm feeling it.
right.
That's what it looks like. Holy smokes. Set the bow down. Draw it back again. Keep it behind. Do it all over again. Get that pin settled right on there. Holy crap. I'm in it. I've been trying to get here for my whole life. And now I actually see it. This is what it looks like. Oh my God. It just sit right there. I do that, set it down.
Right.
Just did that
Get that
until I
muscle memory.
finally got the anxiety down enough where like, okay, that's what it looked at. I just did it 5 straight times in a row. All right, poo. Draw it back, put this up in here. Now let's just go through it. Dude, get the pin right on there. Set it off. Eliminated it right there.
No kidding.
Yep.
I'll have to give that
But
one.
I had to see it.
Right.
I couldn't, you know what I mean? Because I could never get to it.
It's overwhelming trying to
It
do
was
it all
too
at once.
overwhelming.
Right.
Like as soon as you
Right.
get close to it, you could just never get that last second to get it on the target sitting.
Right.
Now squeeze. Finger behind the trigger where you literally cannot shoot. And I even almost yanked through my bow the first time, like when the pin got on there, but my fingers behind up. You know what I mean? Because it was so overwhelming.
Right.
But I just had to I just had to see it, stay in it. And that anxiety just went
Right away.
right out because, okay.
Now you know what you have to do.
Now I know what it looks
Right.
like and what it feels like. That's it right there.
Right.
Okay, now put my finger in front of the trigger and touch it off.
Yeah.
Came 1,000 times better shooter right there.
Right. That's
Difficult though.
It is hard.
Very
it's hard.
difficult.
Right.
And you have to. The hardest part for me was admitting that I had the problem.
Oh, yeah.
I was like,
Yeah,
I was
it's
like,
a bad
I was
thing.
like, my name's Steve Champa, and I'm. It
But like
really
I said,
was.
that's another neat trick that kid told me, taking
Right.
your focus off your pin. Let your pin be subconscious. So then when it's starting to get close, you're not absolutely focused on that. You're actually focused on what's behind it.
Right.
So then that can all happen without you wanting to panic and freak
No,
out.
you overthinking
Yeah.
all the steps.
Yeah, just sit right there, stare at your target. Stare at that hair.
Right.
One of the best bow shooters I ever knew, killing deer. He told me that was his trick right there.
Pick a clump of hair.
Hair.
Yeah.
Right.
He'd
Yeah,
pick
I was
a
gonna
hair.
say
Aim small, miss small.
that's what
right.
I try to do.
Yep.
Try to
Instead of-
remember that.
Yeah,
too.
instead of trying to shoot like, oh yeah, this is an 8. Don't go over an 8.
Right.
Go for a 10. You
Right.
know, go for a 12.
Because if you miss that piece of hair by an inch,
You got
still
it.
a dead deer.
It's still a 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That always made good sense to me. Right
It does
there.
make good sense.
Yeah.
I learned that from shooting darts.
Yep.
Believe it or not, because there'd be something a little weird in the board, and I would aim for that instead of like the actual target.
Yep.
So I started doing that with a bow.
Yep.
Better shot.
It's just for reminding yourself what to do before you get out and get in the habit.
Love it.
Well, and that's the hardest part when you get that adrenaline dump when
Yeah.
deer's walking in. It's
Right.
like you can shoot your bow in your yard a million
Oh.
times, practice your form, practice everything. All of a sudden, a deer comes in, you're shaking, and you're at full draw, and deer's 20 yards, and deer's getting leery, or you squeak something, and you're like, oh, I gotta make the shot go off. You gotta really keep your
Right.
stay calm. Cool,
What I tried
collected.
doing now in that moment is I'm like, okay, this is it. Like all the stores shut down. You got to get this and feed your family. And
Right.
that's
Yep.
it.
Right.
Hunt
Yeah.
like you're hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, bow hunt. That moment right there that's as heavy as a moment as you will get yourself into
Yeah,
killing a
yeah.
big buck, man. It doesn't
Yeah.
get any heavier than that right there.
Yeah.
Bow and arrow with a big monster right there coming in or whatever. That is as heavy as it gets.
Shit,
Yeah.
when I shoot does with my bow, it makes me happy. Never mind
yeah.
a buck.
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
They're all rewarding with a bow.
Yep.
Yeah. It's a completely different
Yep.
feeling. You're doing the same. You have the same purpose. You're doing this. You're trying to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
But
I mean, let's face it. When you see a deer with a gun, if you can see it, most of the times you're putting a bullet into it or
Right.
shooting at it. With a bow, you have to let all the stars align
Yeah,
perfectly for
yeah.
them to be
Yeah. Sometimes you can't even shoot at them.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 90% of the time you're not shooting at them.
Right.
Only 10% of the time you're shooting at them,
Right.
and you can't. You don't want to make a poor shot. You don't want to.
right as soon as they flinch and go to take off, I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm not
Yeah.
risking that. I pulled up on one last year. Snuck up behind it, and it was probably 30 yards. Pull him down, and as soon as he saw me, and I was like mid-draw, set it, and he goes, oh, turns, takes one bound. I'm like, I can't. I'm not good enough. I'm not confident enough that I'm going to shoot at a running deer.
Yeah.
With a bow, with a rifle, that's no big deal. But with
Yeah.
a bow, that's beyond me now. For right now,
Yeah, it's tough. It's a hard deal. It's hard to get it all to happen, man. Like I said, that was always my hardest part is dealing with that moment. You're dealing with target fear in my backyard. And then
Yeah.
you got
Right.
you know what I mean, 190-pound 10-pointer, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know what I mean, like holy smokes. But
Yeah.
I don't know. I just needed time, age, you
Yeah.
know, just get some experience under my belt. I still could whiff it like just so easy.
Yeah,
but
it happens.
Yeah, I've lost a few arrows.
I can talk
at the end of
myself, yeah.
At the end of last summer, I'm like, all right, get this thing going. And I had like 2 of them lost. And my son this spring, he goes, hey, Dad, I found an arrow out in the woods. I'm like, damn, man.
Yeah.
Missed everything. Missed the backstop and the deer.
Yep.
Totally.
Yep.
But
Yeah, it can happen.
yeah, I don't want to admit it again, but yeah, it does happen.
If you don't miss, you're not human.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Tim, I know you talked about what your plans were, but did you have a specific goal?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure I do. I guess if I had any goal, my oldest son Jace is hunting now.
Yep.
And last year he got his first deer, and I'm just coming into a new chapter, you know what I mean?
Right,
and
right.
now it's, I don't know. I really enjoy, like, it's funny, like, I really don't have a ton of hobbies and stuff. Like, I work a lot, and I go in the woods on the weekends, and it's to the point now that, like, I can't even go in the woods by myself. Jace is like, Dad,
Right.
are we going in the woods? I'm coming. Like, you know what I mean?
That's a nice problem to have.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
cool. It's
yeah.
awesome. I actually really enjoyed it. It's just the next chapter, you
Yep.
know? So I've definitely found myself in the last couple of years, like, I still love to shoot big bucks, and I definitely am going to do that, and for me and all the reasons I want to do it. But I can definitely feel like my focus is shifting over to
Getting him
yeah,
sharp.
yeah, just being there with him and going out and taking him out, you know, whether we get anything or not. But
Right. The more he
Just-
gets out, even though, you know, even if you don't see anything, the more
Yep.
he's out there, the more comfortable he's
Yep.
going to be.
exactly.
16, ready to roll on his own. You're not gonna have a worry in the
Yeah.
world.
Right.
Yeah, so I guess personally, I'm gonna go try to find a big buck somewhere to kill.
Right.
And then, yeah, hopefully, yeah, go kill another deer with Jace and be there and watch it and just spend that time with him and
Yeah.
keep showing him, you know.
In Maine, you're going to try to get him a deer up Maine.
Probably not Maine. We're
down
still
here.
doing New Hampshire. Last year was his first year.
Yeah.
It was actually his first year deer hunting was last year. But I shot with him like in the pit to get him
Right.
good at shooting a gun for a year. Like we'd
Right.
go every weekend for like a year straight. It was a while. I wasn't going to bring him until he was ready. And-
Confident.
Yeah.
Felt-
Yeah.
I'm not going to have him out there having the experience of wounding a deer and not getting it and all that. So I was like, we just got to put the work in, and we did. And
He was even timid of his muzzleloader up until like a month before.
Yeah.
And then we brought him
Right.
down there, and then he was ready to go.
Yep. So, yeah. So, anyways, yeah, I'd say if priority for Timmy at this stage right now, it's those. Yeah, Jace. Yeah, going and hunting with him and getting him on deer and just go spend that time with him. Just hang
Yeah.
out and
We take our boys out. We take them all together,
yeah.
you know, and they
Not all
sit
of
up
them.
there.
Not all mine. Yeah. Just my oldest.
Not the, not the whole farm,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
Not the whole baseball team. Just a couple.
but yeah, my son, he's like back and forth. Some days he wants to go. I don't pressure him. Like,
Yep.
you got to get out there and dump one. Let's
Yeah.
go. I don't do that.
Organic.
That's how you make them not want to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I did the same. I never pushed it on them at all.
Yeah.
But they were watching and they were like, yeah, so Dad, that's wicked cool. Can I come now? You know what I mean?
Right,
As soon as you
right.
get that, okay, let's do it.
Oh, yeah. Now my 3-year-old's like, Dad, we're going to go. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Pump the brakes, buddy.
Yeah.
My son even told me, I took him out and I was like, you know, a deer comes out, it was youth day. I was like, you want to put it here? You're getting him prepped if he sees a deer. And he's like, Dad, you know, I don't even care if I shoot one. I just want to be with you in the woods. I'm
Yeah.
like, that's fine, but let's go walk around.
Yeah. It's a neat stage. It's a
Yeah.
cool stage. You know, luckily for me anyways, I was like old enough in life. Like I've lived my life. I've done all the shit that I wanted to. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
now like it's no problem to sacrifice and be like, yeah, let's do make it about you.
Right.
That's perfect.
Yeah,
right.
No problem. I've already got everything. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's all good. No problem. So it's
In 10 years, he's gonna be saying, "Dad, let's go to the spot I found," and that's gonna
Yeah,
be he
yeah.
did something
I
right.
almost
Yeah.
brought that up. Now the bad part, like I said, I can't go in the woods. I'm always out in the swamp somewhere on a
Right.
Sunday, right? Always. Me and Seth and Jace are out in the swamp. Every place we go now, we're snipping a little trail in there doing this. And Jace is like, yeah, this spot's wicked good. I'm going to hunt here. Like he's claiming every spot that we do now.
Yeah.
You killed
know?
a buck in my spot?
Yeah,
Dad?
exactly. Yeah, every place he
It's a good
claims.
problem to have.
Betrayal.
Funny.
You're going to be trying to pull up before, just like we do.
Yeah.
All right, somebody's going to shoot. We got to get out first.
Yeah.
You know? No, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's definitely, it's like I said, it's the next chapter for me, but man, I love it. Love. It's just a
Right.
blast to have them with me. And I just really enjoy it. Like I said, it's another chapter for me. And yeah, try to teach him everything I can and let him blossom. And
Let him focus on that, so he's not focusing on other things.
Yep.
You know.
Yep. And he still likes hanging out with me, you know, like we're at
Yeah,
that
do that when he-
stage. Well, you know what I mean? In
Yeah.
3
You're at that
years.
age where 3 years he might not want
Right,
to hang out.
Yeah,
Exactly.
3 years he's gonna want to hunt with Champa and
Yeah.
not me. So then, you know what I mean? And I'll probably have to take away one sometime for him.
yeah.
You're going Uncle Timmy today.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
while it's here, I'm taking
Right.
it, you know?
Yeah.
So
Soak it up.
yeah, it's fun. It's fun.
Yeah.
And one of these days, you know, it's going to be cool because one of these days the stars are going to align just right, and he's going to just hammer a great big old buck right next to
Right.
me, and I already know. I mean, I know that buck he killed last year was just a little button buck, right? That was a proud moment for this
Oh, for
guy. I'll
sure.
tell you that. But
Yeah.
like that day is going to come where one day, like, oh my God, Jace, look, this is a beautiful 10-pointer, and he's going to hammer it, and
Right.
like that's
Timmy's gonna be a puddle.
Oh
Yeah. Yeah. Come on, Dad, get up and gut this thing for me. We're all crying in the corner.
no problem.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
awesome.
I just got some of those memories are coming down the pipe pretty quick for
Right.
me. So yeah. Anyway, so yeah. And in the meantime, when I'll be tracking bucks somewhere and sitting in a swamp somewhere, doing what I always do. Hopefully going to Alberta with Champa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's paying for your ticket and
Yeah.
your stay. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, hell, I mean, if you're paying,
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to
I'll even bring my own food.
You speaking of food, Jim, you must be hungry by now. You didn't eat
That's all right.
anything at all.
I ate this morning.
But I don't know. Probably wrap it up here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate you guys having us on.
Oh, we love having you.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming on first time too.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely, anytime.
What are you doing next weekend?
Yeah.
Next weekend, I'm going to Connecticut Wednesday.
He's turkey hunting.
Yeah.
Oh,
He's
yeah.
turkey hunting
Yeah,
somewhere.
he's-
Yeah.
He's done.
Wednesday is the start of it. And then
You guys knew that, right? That Champa's like a
Oh, yeah.
incredible
Yeah.
turkey hunter.
Yeah.
Yeah. We didn't even get on that.
yeah,
Yeah. Sorry.
another time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, going to Connecticut Wednesday, and then next weekend's youth weekend. I might go with this kid I know. He's not a turkey hunter, but he's a deer hunter, and his son is showing some interest in it.
Oh, awesome.
Might come out here with Timmy.
Matter of fact, I'm going to be gone next weekend.
Are you?
Why don't you come and take Jace
I can do
with
that.
Seth
Yeah,
one day?
yeah,
If you got to go with that other guy one day, but
yeah. Maybe because I think I'm gonna go with him Sunday, or Saturday. So maybe Sunday. Where are you going?
I have to go do that tracking school with Lanny.
Oh,
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, we're doing 2 of them, and one of them's next weekend.
Oh,
whose idea was that?
Lanny's.
What's he been up to?
I think he's been working and doing firewood, and
Doing Lanny shit.
yeah.
yeah.
He called me the other day. It was pretty funny. He was watching TV in the morning, so I'm not super.
Why was I on the TV,
Dude,
Timmy?
he told me, he's like, you ain't gonna believe it, but I'm on Netflix. I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, that podcast I did with Pat Guyette. He said it's on Netflix. He said, Jesus Christ, I can't believe it. But you know, on like
The YouTube.
yeah,
I'm surprised.
YouTube
he
TV.
swears to God it's on Netflix. I was like, oh man, that's awesome.
I was gonna say I'm surprised he even knew what Netflix was.
Yeah, it's going to be Hulu
Tell me
next.
those aren't different. They're good. They're good, right?
They're real good.
Yeah, so funny.
I'm gonna have to tell him next time I see him. Hey, I saw you on Netflix.
Dude, it's the same thing. Be like, man, I couldn't believe it. They never said a word.
Yeah. I didn't even have to sign anything.
Ah, so funny.